All right, up next, we continue in the realm of Le Geek because our last hot off the press story is. I need to preface this by saying take everything you're about to hear with a massive grain of salt. This is more rumor than news, but it's Fantastic Four rumor. Now, the first thing I'm going to, it's two tweets, but they're from semi-reliable sources. The first one, when I saw it, I thought, nah, forget it. But then the second one made me think, oh, hang on. There's some smoke here. And where there's smoke, there's fire. AJ, here's the first tweet, quoting My Time to Shine, who we spoke about last week, remember? Just to take the image off. My Time to Shine, remember that when they first made their post and Twitter said, no, this is just speculative, then Twitter redacted their warning, which kind of tells me that My Time to Shine Hello has some insider knowledge here. And remember, that was in relation to the Robin being in the Batman 2. So My Time to Shine Hello. Sources confirmed that right before the strikes, Matt Smith passed on the role of Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. And the next one to get an offer is no less than Jake Gyllenhaal. The weird part is that he already played a role in the MCU, Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. So what? Nah, it can't be Gyllenhaal. That doesn't make sense. He's already been a villain. Audiences are stupid. We can't figure that out. Now we get to the second tweet. From Grace Randolph, love her or hate her, she gets things right sometimes. Also, I hear the most recent draft of the Fantastic Four has them coming not just from the 1960s, but also a different universe than the main MCU.
I had a feeling that was going to be the call. I had a feeling that's the way to play the call.
More multiverse stupidity. But I'll say this. While I don't support this idea that the MCU needs a soft reboot, I think that's premature as all hell. But people are already calling for it because Phase 4 was a letdown. There's something that... listen, I don't want this to happen. I don't think the MCU should be rebooted yet. It's too fresh. Because you know what will happen if they reboot it. All the crybabies will come out and it'll be like, that's not my Tony Stark. I miss Robert Downey. That's not my Captain America. I miss Steve Rogers. Jesus, we've already got a new Captain America and people are already saying, that's not my Captain America. If you reboot it and cast someone new, oh God, the hellfire and brimstone. You know, and audiences, like to quote Daniel Bryan, audiences are fickle as all hell. You know, you've got people now on the DC side clambering and saying like, oh, look at the genius of Zack Snyder's work. There was a tweet recently where someone was saying, hot take, this is detail that no one noticed. And it's Superman looking down, literally just looking down and saying, they did that intentionally when Superman was looking with his X-ray vision to see Lois Lane is safe on the ground. And it's like, oh my God, the reach of reaches, people. Yeah. And it's like, you're praising these guys' works, and yet the DC movies aren't making money, which is why they're rebooting. Where were you all? Right?
Exactly.
So don't reboot the MCU. Not yet. Basically, what the MCU needs to do, if you are going to reboot it, is it needs to just stop for like 5 to 10 years, keep making comic book movies that are just not interconnected. Go a bit old school on this. And then in 10 years' time, you can relaunch this big shared universe ideal. But do you think there's any smoke here with the idea that we've got two separate sources, one saying that it could be Gyllenhaal acknowledging that he's already been in it, and then the follow-up from another source who is semi-reliable saying, yeah, I've seen the script and they're going to be from the 60s and there's going to be multiverse involved? Because that to me says Gyllenhaal could be there.
Hello?
I'm here, dude.
Okay, right. It froze a bit there. It's an interesting one because, again, reliable sources. One that made
semi reliable.
What I'm getting at is, you know, X had to redact just last week based on the fact that they were like, I have proof. So, you know, there's certain elements to it, smoke and fire. It would be really interesting to say that they've come from the 60s and into modern time. And I could see like a really cool story where Peter Parker, who has seen that to be Peter Parker, you don't need to look like Peter Parker, because he saw two different versions of a man with the same name as him literally last year or the year before. So, you know, you can play the game that he is there. He's about to report this story and he doesn't trust this guy because the last guy who looked like that screwed him over, looked like a hero, ended up being a villain and has him framed. You know, there were so many elements that he would be like, but no, I'm not falling for this twice. And this guy is Mr. Bland himself, Reed Richards, who has nothing but pure intentions. And like, it could be an interesting twist. I can actually see Jake giving Reed life, you know?
Yeah,
so it's something that I can work with. Yeah, it would be an interesting story, and it does find a way of merging and giving the Fantastic Four a bit of juice instead of just being like, oh, we've been space travelers and we've done this. Like, you've literally got Spider-Man who refuses to believe him, which also then gives us a very interesting story of Doctor Doom possibly working with Spider-Man and convincing him, and Spider-Man gets screwed once again. Like, there are so many different twists and turns to it that it seems exciting in fantasy booking. Yeah, but you know, earlier on we talked about Black Adam and the Crow being forever in development. This Fantastic Four, in terms of an MCU story, has been, you know, this is 12 years in the making in itself. Isn't it? People have been waiting for these guys for a minute. I know we've had another Fantastic Four, but a Disney Fantastic Four, people have been waiting. So
not as much as they've been waiting for Blade. Woo!
Well, yeah, that's a different story in itself. Yeah.
A movie I believe is not happening, by the way. I think it's gonna be a cold day in hell until you see Mahershala Ali play Blade. But
it should be sad, but hey, it is what it
is. Guys, what do you think? Jake Gyllenhaal as Reed Richards? Yes or no? And do you buy this whole the Fantastic Four will be from the 60s and they'll be somehow integrated via the multiverse? This multiverse thing needs to stop. It's not a good saga. I really am over it. But anyway,